I've had a few golfers come and see me recently down here at the golf projects. I've noticed them really try and force this shift in the downswing to take place. They get to the top of the swing and they try and get this shift in the downswing by bumping this hip towards the target. And what they tend to find is that the two poor outcomes are either that duff first hitting the ground or we get those thin shots in their game, as opposed to actually getting that ball and turf interaction, that pure ball strike that we all want when we're trying to get this shift in the downswing. So if you're someone who's really suffering with trying to get this shift taking place, I'd highly recommend sticking around to the very end of the video, because we're going to be looking at a very simple drill that you can do. Well, first, the reason why you struggle to shift your weight in the downswing, and a very simple drill that's going to help you achieve this move every single time and improve the ball striking. So for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Harry, PGA golf professional, transforming golfers worldwide on Skillist. So I'd recommend checking me out on there and hitting the subscribe button if you enjoy this video and take these tips and drills on board in your own game. So there was one common fault that I noticed with a lot of the players that came to see me with this issue, and as they got to the top of the swing, they were forcing this hip to go towards the target to try and get this weight transferring on to this lead side of the body, from the trail side to the lead side, to force this weight shift, this transition to take place. The problem is, what they didn't realize was that this was causing the actual poor ball striking to take place in their swing, because they'd get to the top, they try and fire the hip, but their spine angle would tilt this way like so. And the golf swing works in a massive circle. So think of this point here as the bottom of the swing, the top of the swing here, and then right the way through to finish. So it works in a big circle. So if we were to set up to the ball, get up to the top of the swing, and then fire this left hip towards the target like this here, and we tilt this spine angle backwards, getting this sternum to go away from the swing center, which is this point here, the middle point here, this swing center moving away from the golf ball, that's going to make it very difficult to get that ball strike. Because from here now, we either hit the ground first because we've pushed this circle, this swing circle, away from the golf ball, behind the golf ball, which is going to cause those ground contacts first, as opposed to that center strike. And then from there, we're going to be hitting up on the ball and then end up thinning the golf shots, which causes this leading edge here to lead the race to hit the golf ball. So we get to this point here, if we don't quite duff it, then we start releasing the club a bit early, and then we tend to get that thin shot as well. So what we've got to be making sure is that when we get to the top of the swing, as we're shifting our weight, we've got to make sure that our upper body is staying well over the golf ball, as opposed to getting ahead of the golf ball or even so behind the golf ball, which is what I've just explained. We also see a lot of golfers, they get too far ahead and they have to back out of it last minute anyway, and then the same outcome occurs. But either of these outcomes are no good if you're looking for that consistent ball striking and obviously improving that transition, getting that shift to happen. So the question is, what do we want to see instead? We understand now that if we get this tilting motion here, or going too far ahead of the ball, causes that off-center strikes, trying to get this hip to shift towards the target. What do we need to do more of instead? What do we need to change to stop those two inconsistent outcomes in our swings? Well, in order for us to be able to get that center strike more often, ball and turf interaction, we've got to be making sure that sternum stays over the golf ball. And to do this, we've got to allow for more rotation. So if, let's just say we get the club across our shoulders and we turn to the top and then we fire this hip, it's very difficult for me to get this turn. I can't really turn my body. From here, I'm going to turn and go this way. So we've got to be making sure that as we get to the very top of our swing, now the club head is pointing at the golf ball. We want to get that golf club end, so the butt end of the club, to also point towards that golf ball. And you can see there, if I was to get an alignment stick and just rehearse that same drill, just doing this again from this camera angle here, the face-on view, and place the alignment stick down and representing the swing center, making that move again, golf club across the shoulders, turning up to the top and then back down. The butt end of the club is pointing at the golf ball. And also I'm actually rotating a lot more to get this pressure, this weight shifting onto the lead side, as opposed to really forcing this shift to happen is we get this weight shifting this way, trying to force it and firing that hip. Well, as we do this here, we're adding the pressure in this direction, and ground reaction forces take place in the golf swing. So the pressure being applied into the ground this way, we're going to get an opposite reaction going backwards. So that isn't going to help either. So we've just got to get this turn into the golf swing. But how can we make this simple? How can we know that we're doing this correct every single time? Well, obviously you can use an alignment stick here and just do that rehearsal back and forth, but is there something that's going to allow you to really feel that motion, to feel that weight actually shifting as you rotate through to hit the golf ball? Because again, don't want this action here to hit the golf ball, we want that action there. So what am I doing here? I'm rotating my hips. So another good feel for this, for those of you who want a little bit of an extra tip doing this, we can actually feel from the top of our swing after doing a few rehearsal drills with the club across the shoulders, is that we get to the top and we're getting this left hip to work away from the golf ball. You can see that my left hip is working away from the golf ball, almost going towards the alignment stick behind me. And that's a great way of adding that extra bit of rotation to help you keep that sternum over the golf ball. Another actual training aid you can use for this is something called the power shift board. Now the power shift board helps you develop a really good understanding of when that pressure is being shifted onto the lead side. Now we don't again want to force this movement by pressing into that lead side like this here. Okay, and I'm not too sure whether you can hear this or not, so I'm going to ask my editor just to get this on full volume so you can hear that click. Okay, well, doing this motion here, getting this power shift board out and trying to add that pressure onto the trail side this way, well, I'm still shifting my hips forward, aren't I? We've got to get those hips shifting round. So as we get to the top of our swing, I want you to really feel like your left hip is being pushed away from the golf ball as you then get this turn on the way through. If we get this hip to turn away from the golf ball, we are going to transfer the weight from trail to lead side. It's going to feel so much easier for you to get that better attack angle into the ball, more downward into the ball, and get that ball then turf interaction, get that center strike every single time. So that's the power shift board. Just makes it easier for you just to get that weight moving from the trail to lead side. Again, we don't want to shift the weight this way, whether you use this board or something else or nothing at all. We don't want to shift this way. We want to get this hip moving away from that golf ball to really force that pressure in your golf swing. So taking this away and just having a few practice swings, doing this back and forth, for me, I'm just feeling again like I'm getting this hip to move away from the golf ball, and it really feels like I'm clearing my way through, getting the chest to point towards the target. But just as a bonus tip to finish off on, I like to see my left foot more flared out. Now the reason why is if we had the feet very much so internally rotated like this, and I try and fire my hip, I can only go so far round. If I flare that left foot out, or for left-handed golfers, the right foot being their lead foot, and I turn my hips, it's very easy for me to turn the hips even more so and apply more pressure and shift more pressure onto that lead side. Just before I show you what this looks like all in one motion, I'd like to give a quick shout out to GX Golf, the sponsors on the channel. They provide high quality golf clubs for a fraction of the price. So if you're looking for a brand new golf club manufacturer that you want to try, I'd highly recommend checking them out because they have worked really well for me. They come in bundles of 3, 6 or 9 packets, and I've been using these gloves for the last couple of months. Very, very impressed with them. So if you're in the market for new golf gloves, use the code Harry10 to get yourself 10% off them, and I'll leave the link in the description below as well. And if you're looking at the power shift board or any training aids that I use in the videos, you can get them from Golf Swing Systems and get yourself 5% off using the code SHORE5. Again, link will be in the description below for those. So just to finish off on, we're just trying to feel that motion on the way through, full swing, swinging up to the top, and then we're just applying this move where we're getting this left hip to rotate away from the golf ball and just making sure that left foot is flared out. So I've got a 6-iron in my hand, 196 yards. Let's see if I can get that ball then turf interaction and improve that ball striking. Yeah, that was a nice strike. Going down the target, I think it's a bit too big actually. I did hit that one very well, but it went nice and straight. Definitely then ball, turf interaction. So for those of you who have enjoyed these tips and are going to take these tips on board, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and why not give us a follow on the Skillist app. For more content like this, you can check either these two videos out here. Number one, looking at more downswing tips. Number two, at the bottom, looking at how we can control that backswing. And drop those comments down below for tips or drills video topic you'd like me to cover in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.